It's your smell. What the bird is barbecuing.
G'day jabronis, it is the Verd back with you again, and welcome to our Week 3 match for the National Pokeball League Minors. Tampa Bay Frogadiers are currently 2-0 with a +5 differential, rocking really strong right now, up against Roseradenborg and Danicki. If you don't know what Roseradenborg means, then you clearly don't know your German soccer or football, however you want to say it, but regardless, I'm going to go through the team of what I brought, and then I'm going to show you the battle as always. I think it's better this way. This week definitely was a bit of a rough one because I really struggled to be able to actually get a lot of things done. My internet has been incredibly choppy, has not been ideal in the slightest, but regardless, we are going to go to Danicki, and what I'm going to be doing from now on as well is showing the team, just his team on the side, because at this point, you guys should probably know what my team is. So, since that's the case, I'm just going to show his team, and then I'm going to talk about the mons that I brought. So if you're hyped for this match, and you're a fan of the Tampa Bay Frogadiers, like this video, subscribe, all that good stuff. But we're going to crack into this team. So obviously Danicki has some serious threats, some things that can really hit hard on his entire team. And I decided to kind of go with the team. It was tough. Like, there were a few things that I really struggled against. It was going to be a situation, guys, that you have a lot of times in draft format where you're not able to handle every single thing that your opponent brings. And the one thing, I guess, that I chose not to be able to handle this week was sticky webs. I didn't want to bring Komala because I actually felt he might bring Silvally Ghost as a really good way to check Komala and prevent the spin. At the same time, Defog Mew could have been brought, but at the same time, a support Mew of that kind would have just been easy for a lot of his team to beat. So, again, decided against that. But I decided in the end that if he did set up webs, yeah, it sucked because it shut down like a few of my mons, but I also set up my team in a way that, you know, there was a lot of my team that could still function really well with webs up. So that was kind of the way that I looked at it. So starting things off, we have, okay, so the other thing, the reason why you see like with AG, so basically my match this week, Danicki, he basically, his little avatar thing that he has right now is Jaden Yuki, so I decided to be Professor Crowler in this match. As you'll see, I come up as Dr. Crowler in the battle. I decided to name all my mons after Ancient Gear monsters from the Yu-Gi-Oh series, so AG stands for Ancient Gear. So we've got the Ancient Gear Engineer, which just sounds like amazing as a name. The Mew, basically this thing was kind of designed to really just stop low punny. Initially, I actually had Volt Switch over Ice Beam. Now I had this so I could damage Volcanion, damage the Honchkrow, and then be able to get a lot of momentum for my team, which was really nice. I just scrapped this because I had a bit of an epiphany. I was just chilling with my team, feeling like really happy with it, and then I was like, okay, there is a potential chance that he could bring a DD Latios, and it could actually be terrifying, could actually sweep my team. So I better like prepare just in case he does. So I chucked on Ice Beam because even without any special attack investment, I was doing like a clean half to Latios, so being able to do that much damage is phenomenal. It's just a really solid mon in general, being able to get as Rock, still have the bulk to be able to take a lot of hits from a lot of mons. Obviously, Rocky Helmet is there to shut down low punny, weakening that thing as much as I can. I feel like if he's going to bring low punny, it's going to be like a cosmic power set anyway, but regardless, being able to wear that thing down is going to be super duper important. I guess it also checks Honchkrow because I'm actually running enough speed on Mew to where I actually speed creep Volcanion and Honchkrow at base 70 max speed, so that was kind of, I guess, the game plan of that one. But it's a really solid Mew set. Gets the job done every week, Mew does. It's great. Next up, making his debut this season, we have Toxapex, the Ancient Gear Castle. Now, I was tossing around with a set, guys, and let me tell you, this set was something else. The initial set that I had in mind was actually an Assault Vest Toxapex with with Surf, Infestation, Sludge Bomb, and Hidden Power Fire. Basically to like trap things like Fortress and just absolutely decimate them, to get off a lot of damage, be able to take like hits for days. But in hindsight, the problem with that set was I did have that lack of being able to use Recover, and the Infestation set works really well actually with the combination of Toxic and Recover. So this is a really nice, I guess, staple Toxapex set that I can use for the season because it's just a really big deterring set. Like obviously I could have ran Sludge Bomb, could have been really nice, but Infestation locks a lot of mons in, and if he's not like locked into a move or he's not offensive enough, Toxapex can take these hits and just, you know, put in the work. So this is mainly designed to deal with Volcanion. My team kinda just didn't deal with Volcanion that great, so really want a Toxapex there to be able to deal with that too. So that's kind of why he's there. There's not really much else, I guess, to go into. He just takes a lot of hits for sure. Moving into, I guess, my main Latios, Galvantula, all that kind of stuff, checks Salazzle in my LOL and Muck. Basically, the reason why I'm also running Poison Jab, you might be wondering, is on the off chance he does bring Togekiss, I need to get damage on that thing. Getting damage on Togekiss means that Sceptile is an absolute threat to his team. Like, Togekiss is really his only Sceptile check, so being able to damage it is huge. And I want to go with Poison Jab because I want to get as much damage off as I can. I don't want to risk missing. Like, I want to be able to get off a huge hit. On the off chance Togekiss stays and tries to Air Slash, because Air Slash is doing like 11% to this Muck. I can tank those hits just fine. I have obviously Knockoff plus Pursuit, so I can deal with Latios, barring the DD set, obviously, but this also just deals with a lot of different mons. Like, special attackers in general can't really break this Muck, which is fantastic. Fire Blast is obviously teched on there for the Fortress, if I am able to outspeed it. Obviously, I'm actually running a Sassy Nature, however, this will outspeed a Fortress that is running a neutral nature anyway, so that's really nice. I should be able to outspeed Fortress and hit him up with that Fire Blast if need be. But moving on to the Ancient Golem. My Buzzwole, who is currently actually one of the MVPs right now for the season. He's really doing well for me, but this set this week was a bit of an iffy one. Like, the problem with Buzzwole against my opponent's team was that there were a few roles that he could fulfill, and I didn't know which one I liked. Obviously, he could be Scarf Buzzwole, which is really nice. As you saw last week, it puts in a hell of a lot of work, but at the same time, I kind of needed Buzzwole in this matchup to do Rhyperior. I didn't expect Rhyperior to come, but it was still one of those things where, like, you need to be able to predict everything your opponent brings. And Rhyperior was one of those mons where I was like, okay, I need to be able to prep for this thing or else I'm going to get destroyed by it. And I decided to go with Sub Roost. Reason why I like Sub was because against non-HP flying Fortress, I could just set up in its face. The other massive thing was just being able to go for Sub, because Togekiss is actually a very good switch into Buzzwole most of the time, resisting both of its stabs easily. And so what I could just do there is go for the Sub, and then as he goes for the Air Slash to break my Sub, I can go for the ICMZ Ice Punch. Now, the reason why I went with ICMZ with the Ice Punch as well is because the other move I would have been choosing is Stone Edge, and Ice Punch was able to hit things like Serena, Latios, Togekiss, all that stuff a lot harder than... Like, Stone Edge also had the chance to miss, although it would have maybe had a better chance to take out Togekiss. I still would have got a lot of damage off of the Ice Punch. Basically, after Rocks, it was knocking out pretty much any Togekiss set, barring a Yachi Berry, so that was really nice. Plus, EQ just did a lot of great damage. This is also my secondary Lopunny switch in. Like, Lopunny can't really touch this unless he's running HP Flying, but I do also have Mew in the back to deal with that. So this Buzzwole set is really nice. It was a bit iffy. Like, I could have ran this a bit more aggressively, but I do like this set overall. Next up, again, making a debut this season, we have the Ancient Gear Knight, my Mega Sceptile. Really keen to use this guy. Mega Sceptile is really nice in the format. Gonna have to show that power this week. Running 3 attacks Toxic. Reason why I'm running Toxic over... I was initially running Protect, and the reason I liked Protect was if Mega Lopunny was there and it went for the Fake Out, I could Protect and be like, well, no, I'm not going to get Faked Out today, and I can just go for my damaging move, potentially, or, you know, bait him then to want to maybe go for the Ice Punch and whatnot, and I could go out to Toxapex or Buzzwole or Mew, has switch-ins for that. Easy ways to bypass unnecessary damage on my mons, pretty much, is what I'm saying here. But the other big thing, I guess, why I dropped it was because in a mock that I did, I was getting absolutely run over by especially defensive Serena. It was like putting in the work against me, so I'm running Toxic so that I can wear down his team a bit more. Obviously with Toxapex and Mew on the team, being able to easily like recover up against a lot of his mons, it does take an effect over time. Giga Drain is just a really good stab. Dragon Pulse literally decimates his team. Like I'm saying, if he doesn't bring Togekiss, Mega Sceptile has a phenomenal matchup, and HP Fire is obviously there to lure and take out Fortress, because, you know, who doesn't want to get rid of an easy threat? And obviously, I needed that speed on my team, and this week's Scarfer is Xurkitree once again. It was my Scarfer in week 1, picking up 2 late kills, and I'm hoping it can do the exact same thing this week. Xurkitree has a habit of like not hitting the field super early in matches. Like against Andrew, it kind of hit the field early and got off a Volt Switch, but other than that, it didn't really do a hell of a lot. But this Xurkitree I really like this week. The last minute, I decided to drop Signal Beam. I decided to drop Dazzling Gleam for Signal Beam. The reason for that is because not only did it hit Latios just like Dazzling Gleam, but also hit Serena harder. And I preferred that to Dazzling Gleam because Dazzling Gleam was there for Mega Lopunny, and I really felt that Mega Lopunny wasn't a good bring for him in this matchup, so I didn't really expect it to be brought, which is why I guess I went with that. But like Volt Switch Thunderbolt is great. With Beast Boost, it just does so much work against his team, and his only real electric check is either Rhyperior or Lantern, so if I get rid of one of those guys, then Xurkitree kind of just goes ham on his team. So basically the premise of this team was use my bulk and just good damaging hitters in Muck and Buzzwole to set up Mega Sceptile and Xurkitree late game to kind of just clean. That was pretty much the goal of this team. Now you're going to see if it worked out in the actual battle. Alright guys, so here we are with the match, and obviously he brought an interesting team for sure. A few things that I was really surprised by were no Lantern, no Fortress, no Mega Lob wasn't really that much of a surprise, no Serena, so no form of hazard removal when he had 3 Mons that were all weak to hazard. Like, obviously Honchkrow could have Defog, but Latios could have Defog, but I really doubt either of them did. Silvally was an interesting thing. I didn't really prep too much around it, because the thing is, if it's a special Silvally, I have Alolan Muck plus Toxapex. If it's a physical Silvally, I have Buzzball plus Mew, so pretty much I could deal with most Silvally sets that came my way. One thing that was looking a little bit scary to my team was that Honchkrow. I really didn't expect him to bring it, and it does a lot of work. You know what I don't get though? Look at Xurkitree. Xurkitree is like made of wires, and he looks so tiny compared to Sceptile. He even looks tiny compared to Mew, and Mew's a freaking midget. Like, how small is a Xurkitree? Freaking insane. Regardless though, we're going to kind of get into this. So basically the way that I looked at matchup, I really like the look of my Alolan Muck. Obviously Alolan Muck is just so good lead wise. When you look at my opponent's team, he doesn't have a lot of switch-ins for it, especially sorry, especially if he leads like maybe with say Silvally. Like, Silvally can't really touch Alolan Muck, so basically what's going to happen is I'm going to lead, he's going to lead Silvally, I'm going to lead Muck, and this is perfect because he can go for Parting Shot. That's fine. The thing is that he's going to go on Honchkrow, but here's the thing. With the way that he brought his team, because he didn't, like, the problem I guess with all of his team was that he didn't really have a good switch-in for knockoff, like, in general. Like, not even factoring in Poison Touch here, but just in general, his team did not have a great switch. You can't really count Mega Lopunny as a good switch-in to knockoff. It doesn't really have the bulk, but nothing this team wants to take. And as you can see, this is a -1 knockoff. It still gets off a good amount of damage, and I get rid of Choice Band. Now that was terrifying to find out. That was a banded freaking Honchkrow. He claims this is a bit of a misplay. I also kind of agree. Like, I mean, I probably would have just gone Rhyperior, because if you look at my team, my only real ground checks are Sceptile plus Buzzwole, which Rhyperior could potentially have good coverage for both. So maybe that was the better switch in preserving his banded Honchkrow, but I don't really know. What I'm going to do here, though, is kind of play it safe and go into Engineer, because obviously I can take the hit. But if you see, so that was 42.4% just from a regular Honchkrow. If that thing was banded, I was easily getting to a KO. Like, there was no hope for me. But luckily, after the knockoff damage and all this, he is below half. And I decided to go for the Roost here, and then go out to my castle. As he does Earth Power, I have my Sugar Berry so I can eat that, and from that damage, it tells me these not specs. If anything, he is potentially something like Assault Vest, or some kind of berry, potentially, to deal with one of my Mons. I was thinking potentially he could be Wakan Berry, as that would let him deal with a potential Xurkitree, so I was kind of keeping an eye on that, but that told me also that every time he goes for Earth Power now, it's going to be doing about 40%, so because of this, I think I decided to go for a Toxic, as he does go into his Latios. Now, the fact that he went into Latios, this screamed a few things to me. One, it screamed, like, he wants my Muck to come in. Like, he's kind of baiting my Muck to want to come in at this point. And that wasn't something I was down with. I don't think he's going to go for the Draco, because he just saw how much a Earth Power from a Volcanion did. So Draco's not going to be able to kill me. I can just go for Recover. That's a negative for him. So the way I saw it was, okay, he's probably going to go for either a Psychic move or maybe a setup move. So my best play here is going Mew, because the thing is, if he goes for Calm Mind, I still have a Alolan Muck that can deal with this thing, but if he goes for Dragon Dance, Alolan Muck is getting fisted, and I don't want my Mew, which is already quite low on health, getting 2 KO by Earthquake. So I make the play of going hard into Mew here, as he does reveal the Dragon Dance. And this was scary, but at the same time, my Mew is packing Ice Beam, and it does a hell of a lot. So he is actually going to go into his Rhyperior. Now, that Ice Beam was a questionable play on my part. So the way I saw it, though, was that Rhyperior was most likely going to go for Rocks, because either one, he knew that I could just go. The thing is, his team didn't have a Willow switch in, so I potentially was thinking maybe he'll just go Honchkrow or something like to take the Willow, potentially, but the thing was that the Ice Beam was pretty much free. I knew Ice Beam from there was probably a 3-hit KO on this Rhyperior, like, although that was a min roll, the next one was mid, so I knew the next one would probably kill him. And the thing is, what I'm realistically doing here, guys, is I'm weakening his one check to Xurkitree. Like, if you look at Xurkitree right now, it's looking pretty darn good against a lot of his team. It's able to just smack so many things so hard in the face that he's kind of opening the door already for Xurkitree as a mon. The other thing I guess he's opening the door for is the fact that I can use Buzzwole a bit more freely. Like, I don't have to use it as a defensive check. And the fact that my Mew is, like, nice and healthy now. He does go for those rocks. And the thing is, Mew is nice and healthy. So I have no real threat from this Rhyperior. Now, the thing is, I could have chosen to go for rocks here. Potentially could have been a better play, but the way I saw it, getting rid of his ground mon was so much more important than Stealth Rocks for this turn. Like, you have to kind of play the threat set in front of you. He does go into Honchkrow, sacks it off. That is fine by me. I don't know why he didn't go into Volcanion, but it's fine. It goes into Volcanion afterwards, and I just go back into Toxapex, because I know I can take the Steam Eruption just fine. That is a Steam Eruption from a Volcanion. It did nothing. Now, he goes to the Earth Power. I see how much it does, and I go for the Recover. And from this point, I say to myself, okay, if I'm Volcanion, I'm looking at this from a Volcanion's light. If I'm looking at this from my opponent's point of view, you've just done 40% with your Earth Power. Your opponent has recovered 50%, which means next turn when you go for Earth Power, I can recover again, and if you're doing 40% again, if I recover, I'm going to be able to take 2 Earth Powers, and I'm going to be able to Toxic you. So realistically, what you should be doing is probably switching out. Like, it doesn't really make much sense for you to stay in, and unnecessarily, like, me go for another Recover, easy, and then me being able to Toxic you for free, or even say, I actually predicted him to want to go out to Latios here, because the way I saw it was because I could have gone for Recover here, he could have gone back out to Latios to be a bit more aggressive, or he could have gone like out to maybe something else, but I wanted to Infestation, because Latios was already poisoned, it was chilling at 81% at this point, so Infestation plus Toxic was going to chunk the Latios to the point where it wasn't going to be as huge of a threat to my team as it was there. Obviously, this meant that you could get up a DD, but Mew is at full health, so it wouldn't have been a big deal. So the way I saw it, it was my play. But he actually chooses to take... He chooses to go for the Earth Power again. Now, I can understand it, but at the same time, like, it was a bit of an odd play. So I go hard as a Muck. Now, people, like, were messaging me afterwards saying, like, why didn't you click Recover? And I guess I'm explaining to you in this video now why I didn't click it. Like, obviously, Recover is like a phenomenal move in that choice, but the thing is, if your opponent knows you can click Recover, why would he waste a turn? Like, that's basically, that Earth Power would have been wasting a turn. You were either fishing for a crit or a Spadef drop, which is a neg play, allowing me to get more health back, setting me up for a free Toxic or Infestation next turn. Because if I infestated his Volcanion there, if I got back up to full health, been able to take 2 Earth Powers, infestated his Volcanion, I basically could have just soloed it with Toxic. Like, that was the, I guess, the big issue about this from my end. I was like, well, this is not really great for him. But regardless, he goes into his Volcanion here, and I'm like, okay, so this is a situation where I can just click Knockoff. Like, he could obviously Steam Eruption, he could obviously Fire Blast for very, very big damage. I could potentially get burned. But the thing is, if you look at his team, realistically, my Toxapex can deal with Salazzle. Like, definitely all day, every day, I can deal with Salazzle. Muck doesn't really do a lot. Like, his switch-ins for Muck potentially right now are the Rhyperior, which I want to weaken, or the Volcanion staying in. So I'm like, either of these is great, because if Volcanion goes down, it opens a lot more doors for my team, means that Toxapex isn't as threatened. So he is going to Earth Power. As you can see, AV Muck drinks that. I can go for the knockoff, and he was Assault Vest. So I'm going to take the play of going out to Mew here. The reason I go out to Mew is because there is the potential for him to click Earth Power again. I don't exactly want my Muck getting too weakened. At this point, I can still take a Timid Life Orb Flame Fire Blast from Salazzle, so that could be kind of clutch. I could also take a hit from Silvally, so overall, I kind of want to preserve Muck, even if it was a sack. And I could go out to Mew, because I knew Mew could pretty much take an Earth Power from here. And Earth Power seemed like his best play. Steam Eruption wouldn't kill. If he was seeing how much Fire Blast did, and how much Earth Power did, like, Steam Eruption wasn't really achieving that much, but he does go for Steam Eruption, does half to me, and I'm like, oh god, but I have Roost, so it's okay. Like, I'm in a position where I can kind of just keep on clicking. Now, here's where it gets to a bit of a iffy thing. So, my Mew has a lot of Roosts, and at this point, I guess the game that I was playing was saying, right, so you have Steam Eruption and Fire Blast, I have Roost. I'm basically going to keep on clicking this until, like, there is the potential he could burn me, but what I was fishing for is the fact that he has to go for Steam Eruption or Fire Blast, and eventually there's more of a chance of him actually missing these moves than getting the hacks in his favor. So that's kind of the way that I was playing it, as I go for Roost here, and he will miss the Steam Eruption. So that's huge, because basically what that means now is I can get my rocks up. And what rocks mean is that Salazzle's getting weakened, Volcanion is not really coming in as much anymore. It's huge. So I'm going to click my rocks here, as he is... I actually used a Psychic. Now, okay, so the reason I went for Psychic there, I should probably explain that, because in hindsight, Rocks would have been good, but I was looking at my calcs, and basically the reason why I wanted to go for Psychic on that turn is because his Volcanion was sitting at about 50%. Now my Psychic does like 30% to him. So basically, by going for Psychic there, and him going for an attacking move, what I could have done then is gone for my Stealth Rocks, and basically checkmated his Volcanion. Which would have been like nice at that time, but overall Psychic was the better play, because Psychic obviously 2-hit KO'd Volcanion at that point. He does go into Silvally. I definitely know from that damage he is nowhere near Assault Vest. Still not exactly sure what he is, but I know he's definitely outspeeding Mew. He is going to Parting Shot back out to Volcanion as I do get out my rocks now. And I'm sitting in a situation like, alright, so my Toxapex is chilling right now at 30. Oh, it gets 33% of his health back, so it's chilling at 70%. At 70%, I should be able to, after rocks, take a Steam Eruption and be able to take an Earth Power at the same time. So that's kind of the way I looked at it, was like, yeah, I can take both of these right now. Unfortunately, he crits me, and that means I'm not going to be able to take it right now. So I'm going to go hard into my Mew, knowing he's going to go for Earth Power, and this was a big turn. So it's a big turn for a few reasons. I guess the big thing about this was me thinking about my end game. So Rhyperior was weakened to the point where I felt I could really take it out. And I had a position, like a chance now, to basically checkmate Volcanion. I could go for Psychic with Mew, and if I went for Psychic, then it would put Volcanion into Rocks range, meaning that he couldn't switch out. It would allow me also to go free into my Sceptile to get a kill. I don't know what the Salazzle is. I don't still know what the Silvally is either, but I know that the Latios will not outspeed me, and neither will Rhyperior. It puts a lot of pressure on his team to do this play, so I decide in my best interest to go for the Psychic. Now, obviously, Eruption is a roll, and he gets in his favor, which is fine. Like, it's not too big of a deal, because at this point, like, Mew going down was very dicey. So I got to kind of explain this, because some people are going to be questioning this. So obviously, the one big risk now with losing Mew is the DD Latios. Like, you're going to be looking at it saying, well, Verd, like, DD Latios kind of just wrecks your team right now, doesn't it? Essentially, it could. But the thing about DD Latios, I guess, right now that's shutting it down is there's only a couple of things that he would be able to freely set up a DD on. So if he's DD Latios, Buzzwole stops him. Straight up, Buzzwole will not die. The other big factor, I guess, with DD Latios here is that Muck is essentially a sack at this point. Like, I'm just clicking knockoff against him all day, every day. And he's basically relying on his Silvally to Parting Shot to allow me to take advantage of that. But basically, at this point, Volcanion is just going to drop to my Dragon Pulse. He's just going to keep it in. Bang, down. Sceptile gets his first kill for the season. He goes into Silvally, and at this point, I could have made the move to stay in here in Dragon Pulse. It was a roll to kill Silvally. But the thing was, if Silvally did go for the Parting Shot and switched out, I would know that next time it would die. And I was looking at my opponent's team thinking like, okay, what is my best switch in right now to take advantage of the situation? Because Volcanion's down, so essentially I don't really need too much. So I actually decided to go hard into my Muck, because by going into Muck, it either baits in Rhyperior, which I don't really mind. Like, the only Rhyperior set I wouldn't be a fan of right now would be like the Rock Polish Rhyperior set. But regardless, I guess the reason I wanted to go into Muck was because it meant that Latios would have to click EQ to kill me, making it take more damage. And it also meant that Salazzle, had a chance not to kill me. So I'm going to choose to go into my Alola Muck, as he is going to Parting Shot. So I know that next time Silvally comes in, it's in D-Pulse range, which is great. He does go Salazzle. I was surprised he didn't go Muck. He goes for Fire Blast. This wasn't a roll. It turns out he was actually Modest Life Orb, but that does mean that my Sceptile basically gets another free kill. He actually chooses to sack off his Rhyperior. Now, this is massive, because if you look at... that crit doesn't matter. If you look at the state of his team now, the Rhyperior has gone down. Late game Xurkitree is looking really goddamn good. It's looking really good. And that was kind of why this next turn may look a bit funny to some people. So, obviously, what I didn't know is that this was actually a Scarf Silvally. But the thing is, even if it was a Scarf Silvally, I felt at this point I kind of had him, again, I use the word a lot, but checkmated. I knew the Salazzle was Life Orb, and I knew the Latios was DD. That meant that unless Silvally clicks Ice Beam and kills me, I'm going to kill something on his team. That was basically the thing. But the thing about that is, if Silvally clicks Ice Beam and kills me, he allows me to go out to my Xurkitree and essentially click 2 Thunderbolts and kill things on his team. Now, because he's a DD Latios, I have Buzzwole that can deal with DD Latios just fine. And at that point, like, Circuitry kind of just wins. Like, he can go for, if he goes for Ice Beam to kill me, he can go for Ice Beam for Circuitry. It will not kill Circuitry. I get a free T-Bolt kill, Beast Boost, allowing me to take out Salazzle. The alternative, obviously, like, is that even if, like, I kill off Silvally as he locks himself with Ice Beam, where he goes hard into Latios and lives and kills me, I can go into Buzzwole against Latios, essentially potentially go for my substitute there. And at that point, like, if he sacks off Latios to Buzzwole, then Toxapex can solo the combination of Salazzle plus Silvally at that point, just because of how stally this mon is. It could have sold both of them out. So at this point, it was basically like game over, because as you're going to see, he clicks Parting Shot, which I was fine with. Like, I didn't mind, because something dies with Dragon Pulse. He chooses to sack off Salazzle. I'm like, cool, dead, bye. And it was at this point where I'm like, okay, this comes back in. And at this point, a -1 Sceptile kills after rocks. So that's great, because it means that at this point, he has to now click Ice Beam. He's revealed that he's Scarfed. The reason why I didn't want to switch out to anything else here is for the off chance that he did actually go for another Parting Shot. Because if I went out to Buzzwole and he Parting Shotted, then potentially a DD Latios still packing Psychic could reverse sweep me. I didn't want that. I didn't want to go out to Circuitry and then allow Latios to get a free DD on my team. Like, obviously, I could go for Dazzling. I don't have Dazzling. I could go for Signal Beam, but at -1, it's not really doing that much, and it just allows him to set up and kind of potentially reverse sweep my team again. So at this point, the best play, unfortunately, despite it getting 3 kills in this game, the best play for me is keeping Sceptile in. Because although he is going to go for the Ice Beam to knock me out, that just means that I can go straight into my Ancient Gear Soldier Circuitry. I'm going to be able to take that Ice Beam. He won't get the freeze. We get that Signal Beam off. We get that Beast Boost. And a +1 Circuitry is going to be able to knock out this Latios. And your Tampa Bay Frogadier is going to pick up a 3-0 win. Now, obviously, could have played this maybe a little bit better. Like, I made a few unnecessary plays, potentially. But at the same time, I feel like at the end of the day, I did play this one quite solidly. If I say so myself, I guess, like, I do feel like, you know, I didn't really make too many bad plays overall. It was a really good game. Like, honestly, props to Daniki. He played really well. I was very surprised by the team. For sure, like, my plays with, like, Toxapex with the Infestation, I could have gone for Toxic, and that would have allowed Mew to solo Volcanion, so that was kind of a bad play at that time. I definitely should have clicked Toxic there. I guess I was just predicting Latios, so it just seemed like more of an obvious play, but regardless, also not going for Rocks earlier was kind of bad. But overall, yeah, like, it was a really solid game. Definitely was really happy with the performance. We now are 3-0 with a +8 differential, and we're almost halfway through the season. Our next match against Fries and the Rotterdam Staraptors is going to be a very, very close game. I think it's going to be a very good game. Fries is a decent battle. He's got a very scary team with a few mons that really do a lot of work against me, but I think it's going to be a interesting matchup. If we can win that, though, we then go to 4-0, which means even if we lost all of our last 3 games, by the end of the season, we would have a positive record, pretty much. So that would be pretty awesome. Like, if I could get to that 4th win, that would be great, knowing that, you know, I'm at least at worst going to go 4-3, which, you know, for a league is a quite solid result. But obviously I want to keep on winning and keep on doing really well. So that is going to be my goal, I guess, for the rest of the season. Right now, things are going really well. Like, my Ultra Beasts are putting in the finest work. Circuitry and Buzzwole together over 3 games have 10 kills. So they're averaging, as a unit, 3 kills a game, which is freaking awesome. Like, Ultra Beasts are insane, man. But the entire team put in work. Like, I was really happy with how Mew and Toxapex went, and obviously Alola Muck did bits as well. Buzzwole did not hit the field. I don't really know what it would have done if it hit the field. Like, depending on what it was in against, it didn't. I don't really know what it would have done. I think at that point as well, though, that, like, the Latios late game obviously could have killed Circuitry with EQ. But at that point, I feel like he didn't have a move unless he was packing Psychic that killed Buzzwole, and I could just go, obviously, for the Z Ice Punch to knock Latios straight out. Unless he was running DD with Psychic, which could have been a potential tech, but at the same time, it meant that, like, you know, Psychic, Earthquake, the coverage wasn't exactly ideal for him. Plus, he probably would have had to run, like, Steel Wing to deal with Florges, so I don't really know. But regardless, great game, Daniki. Go check out his channel, guys. He is a really nice guy. Apologies, like if this does, I'm hoping by the time this goes up, my internet will be better. So fingers crossed on that one. It's been a real struggle lately, but yeah, we go to 3-0. I'm feeling pretty good. Yeah, as always, it's the Verd. I'm out this bitch.